Doug Ford should have been at this meeting, should be working with the players, with Airbus. What do you need in terms of support to make this more viable, to get your production rates higher? What companies are you looking for? What manufacturing? Ontario has the workforce, has the expertise, machine shops, steel, transportation. We have it to be able to support them. Where is he? Hey, everybody, and welcome back. So, Canada got great news in terms of trade deals. AirAsia is now going to be ordering 150 Airbus A220 planes that are manufactured in Quebec. That's a multi-billion-dollar deal, multi-year contract, going to keep that plant flowing for many, many years. The workers going, the infrastructure, the supply chain, and everything else for Canada, resources and investment. In when you have a deal that's multi-billion dollars, multi-year, you're going to have other players that are come into the area to help supply that order. So that's going to create more jobs, not only sustain the jobs that are there in Quebec, but create more. And I'll get more to this, but this is also a potential for Ontario to make up for what we've lost in the auto industry. So we're starting to bear fruits of all the potential trade deals that Mark Carney has gone and to negotiate bilateral deals, new alliances, trade partners. It's coming fruition. We're bearing the fruit now, and this is great. Not only for the the Liberal government, that's going to make them look good, but also for the people of Canada, that we no longer have to rely on just on the U.S. That we can trade with other people around the world, and of course, people around the world, other countries, can now rely on Canada being a stable partner as opposed to the U.S. And people want that. They want stability. They want competence. And this is a great example of this partnership that Canada has with the rest of the world. And this is only the beginning, in my opinion. So this is great news for everybody. Let's take a look at an article talking about it. Airbus Canada has signed a deal to supply AirAsia with a massive order of 150 of its Canadian-made A220 jets in its multi-billion-dollar coup for Quebec aviation industry. The agreement with the low-cost Malaysia airline marks the largest single firm order for the narrow-body planes assembled north of Montreal and Mirabel in the manufacturer's history. The first A220-300 is expected to roll off the line in the first quarter of 2028. Very quick, said AirAsia CEO Tony Fernandez. For Lars Wagner, who heads the commercial aircraft division of Airbus, the deal underscores Quebec's role as a key hub in global aviation. The French-owned company bought a majority of Bombardier's Beluga C-Series program in 2018 and rebranded it as the A220. So Bombardier owned this, and then the Airbus came and bought the rights to this back in 2017, 2018. Originally, it was for just over 50%. This was because they were selling this type of plane, Bombardier, to the U.S., and Boeing was not liking this because they were, selling it at a cheaper price than what Boeing could make the planes similar to theirs. So they were talking about tariffs. This was, again, during the Trump administration. So Airbus came and bought it, manufactured still in Quebec, and then finished the process in, I think, Alabama, to avoid the tariffs. Then eventually Bombardier sold the remaining of their stake. Airbus now owns 75%, and 25% is the Quebec government. Government support is the backbone of the innovation we see in this hangar, and we don't take this for granted, Wagner said. Prime Minister Mark Carney, who spoke at the announcement Wednesday, framed the deal as an example of the benefits that flow from a diversifying trade beyond the United States, meaning we don't need the United States to survive, which is great. This is a pure example of why we don't need the U.S. we can work with other parties. The agreement strengthens the links between Canada and Southeast Asia countries, he said, recalling a meeting he had with the AirAsia CEO Tony Fernandes in the Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur last fall. We shared a vision of deepening ties between those countries that, in this crisis that we are still living through, trade war with the US, are choosing to build in the face of adversity. Countries that have the confidence to open up, to link their economies, to invest in their workers, to move forward, not turn back. Carney told the audience at the Maribel facility. Thank you for your trust you're placing in Canadian workers in Quebec and Maribel. You're choosing the best and exactly the right time, the Prime Minister told Fernandes on Wednesday. Now, here they go on to talk about some of the production issues that they're having, why there's also a backlog on these planes. Airbus has faced production challenges at its Montreal area plant over the past few years, struggling to churn out more than 7 jets per month on average, half of the threshold needed to break even. The French company has pointed to a range of supplier problems, citing shortages that run the gamut from engines to wings. So, let's talk about this. Now, this is where Ontario could benefit from this deal, okay? So, as they stated, they've been making the planes for a while, but they're not making enough of them, and there's creating a backlog, which, economies of scale, the more you can make in a month, the more efficiency you have, the more profit, the better of a business model it makes to make the planes here, okay, and keep the jobs going and everything else, and to do investments. First of all, we got a 150 plane order from one client, which potentially could open up to other players that say, wow, they're going to be able to make more planes. If we come in with a big order, maybe we can get a better deal, and so on and so forth. So it opens up that manufacturing to other players, saying these guys are going to be around for a while. They're not going to go bankrupt. So we should put an order with them as well. Other companies will come into the area to invest, to supply this order, and maybe potentially other ones, because there could be other ones in the future. And this is where Ontario could take advantage of that. Not only Quebec, but Ontario. Especially Ontario's been getting a bit of bad news with the auto industry. The Chrysler plant in Brampton, has been shut down. Got the recently news about Honda postponing or pausing the EV plants, battery and assembly plant for EVs. This was back when Trudeau was Prime Minister. They made the investment, because $5 billion were coming from provincial and federal government, and the rest of the $10 billion was from Honda to open up the manufacturing of batteries and EVs here in Ontario. So that is going to hinder innovation in terms of EVs to a certain degree, but also the jobs that it was potentially going to make. So Doug Ford should have been at this meeting, should be working with the players, with Airbus. What do you need in terms of support to make this more viable, to get your production rates higher? What companies are you looking for? What manufacturing? Ontario has the workforce, has the expertise, machine shops, steel, transportation. We have it to be able to support them. Where is he? He's too busy hiding because he bought a private jet, or spending millions of dollars, billions of dollars extending an airport that no one asked for. Billions of dollars for a new Ontario place that no one asked for. Selling contracts to pick up recycling, reducing the ability to recycle tires so that they're piling up everywhere now. He's changing policies and rules for things that are not broken. This is where he should be. This is what he's been elected to do, to help Ontario. This is a great opportunity. You know how much work could come from this? What industry would want to invest in Ontario that we have everything? Where is he making these deals? He's still worried about trying to make a deal with the US. Again, remember the example of why he needed the plane to go all over Ontario, but also to continue to go to the US to try to make trade deals? Forget about the US. Let Mark Carney deal with that. Work on this. This is an absolute. There's nothing, you don't know what's going on in Trump's head. You could have a deal with him tomorrow, and 2 days later, he would change his mind. Even if he signed a deal with Trump tomorrow, he could change 2 days later and say, I don't like this deal anymore. I'm not going to honor it. Make a deal with stability, stable people, stable partners, like Mark Carney has. Invest your time with allies, other allies, new allies Mark Carney has made, other trading partners. Start with this. This is already a guarantee. But he's too worried about the polls. You know, the polls are for the dogs, as he once stated, and he's losing to an empty chair in the Liberal Party. That he's basically tied with them, tied or losing depending on the polls you're citing. We'll see what happens. But if he can't get a win out of this, he needs to go. He's not a leader, never was, and as an Ontarian, we made a mistake in electing him, and we'll make sure that the next election we don't make the same mistake again. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you're in this part of this industry, what you think about this deal. If you're excited about this deal, what else, Quebec, maybe potentially Ontario, they can do to help support this industry and benefit a lot of Canadians. And congratulations to Quebec and Mark Carney for this deal. They deserve this. They deserve this congratulations. And they deserve this win for the work that they put in. Anyways, guys, take it easy. We'll talk later.